Hello and welcome to part 2 of the French defense advanced variation. And in this video I wanted to go over again some more of the concepts of the French defense and what we should do. And in this video I'd like to go over a game I had maybe about 5 or 6 months ago against a reasonably strong player, maybe 1950 player, and even a 1950 player, you can see how they can find themselves in trouble if they are not very careful. And just to show you that I practice what I preach here, the game started e4, e6, d4. Well, not that move. d5, e5, c5, c3, knight c6, knight f3, bishop d7, the move that I talked to you about before. And here my opponent played a3, and I think I knew he was going to play this. This move is definitely a very playable move. The idea actually is to play at some point maybe even b4. And tried to shut down black's queenside play and maybe even play a move like bishop b2. And like I said, when you see moves like this, I've not studied this variation in any kind of depth because I knew the basic concepts. I knew he was planning on playing b4, so I played a very simple move. I had played a5. Now, since I've already played bishop d7, and we went over in the last video how if he plays bishop b5, he's going to lose a pawn. So, due to knight takes e5. So, I knew that this move was perfectly safe, and here he thought for a little bit, and since I had screwed up his plan to play, clearly he was wanting to play b4, he played a move I didn't much care for, b3. I mean, his idea is just to put the bishop on b2, and a lot of times white plays this way, and it's just not very good. The bishop is not good there. It's just doomed to passivity, as they say, because all it's doing is just holding down d4, and this shows you how much respect this player had for the French, because he was willing to go to all these lengths to hold down the d4 square. So he plays b3, and I continued with the strategy I advocated in the last video, knight e7. Again, we don't need to worry so much about what white's doing. As long as it's nothing major, we can continue with our structure that we're always aiming for, which is knight e7 to f5 and bishop e7. So I play knight e7, and he continued with what he was aiming for, which was bishop b2. I mean, what else to do? He'd already played that move anyway. And I carried on knight f5, and then he plays bishop d3. And here, I've never seen this position before, and I've played the French for many years. And I thought, okay, well, he's played some pretty unorthodox moves, so why don't I play a little bit unorthodox myself? This is definitely not one of my best games, by the way. This is just a good illustration of the advanced variation. I played a very unusual looking move, knight h4. And my logic was simple. In many ways, if and when he trades knights, I'm taking a defender away from the d4 square. And since the bishop's on d3, it's going to be kind of hard for him to protect it. All he's got protecting it is the bishop on b2 and the c3 pawn. So I figured, if he takes, my queen's not badly placed. It's actually pretty reasonably placed. And it's active. This wasn't a great move. And I could have definitely, by the way, instead of that, I could have just played bishop e7 because, this is actually not a big deal. If he takes here, you can just take. This looks weird, but this is not at all a problem. In fact, it's going to be exactly the same. He's going to castle, and let's say knight d2, some move like that, we're going to play f6 anyway. Okay, and when he takes, we'll take with the bishop. So we don't have, it's not a big deal, this move. And if he plays rook e1, we'll play bishop e6 and then play f6. So don't worry about that. So I could have played that, but I wanted to mix things up, and I played this move, knight h4. And he took, what else to do, and I took with the queen. And, I was reasonably happy here. It wasn't clear to me what White has done in the last few moves. He's made a lot of weird pawn moves. A3, B3, C3, bishop B2. Like, none of those moves make much sense. So I figured, okay, well, I should be fine. And then he played another, I thought was a surprising move, which was, he has to play it in a way, bishop E2. So in a way I've won a tempo because I was threatening, to take on D4. And again, since my bishop was on D7, there's not going to be a discovery on the queen. CD, CD, knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes, and there's no discovery on the queen with the bishop. So that was my other rationale here. So, this move was more or less had to be played, bishop E2. And I played a move that wasn't bad, bishop E7. I knew the queen wasn't going to get trapped here, but I could have even played queen D8 and not had any real problems, but bishop E7 worked out fine. And here, White castled, I castled, and he played G3. And he's clearly trying to trap my queen by some, I don't know what he's trying to do. It seems to, the aggressive players that play the advanced French generally are not at all afraid to start just throwing pawns across the board. And look at Black's development and look at White's development. And as you can see, Black has a little bit better development. Now White's going to gain some tempos here, but I played queen h6. Queen h3 was possible, but I was thinking, I think queen h3 was better. Queen h6 maybe from a practical point of view was not the best move. And he plays bishop c1. Okay. He's trying to get fancy, And of course I can't play queen g6. If I play queen g6, he has this, he's very happy to play this move, and I lose the queen. So I couldn't play that. So I played bishop g5. And I had already figured all this out. I knew that after he played f4, and look at this pawn structure, you would think that I'm going to lose this game in just a few moves. But what it ended up happening, I just went right back to e7, and he wanted to win this game bad, so he just plays f4 right away, and I come right back, which was what I had calculated. And he doesn't have much better than to take here, and I take, and now he makes a mistake, pretty much just a blunder. And again, this happens in the advanced variation all the time. They push too many pawns, and as a result, they are the ones who get into trouble. He plays f6 here, and as soon as he played this move, I saw the look on his face, that he had made a mistake. And after queen e5 check, White has real problems here. And as you can see, he plays king g2, and I took on d4. And basically, there's really no way for White to avoid losing a pawn. And so, like so many players, he said, well, I'm going to go for broke. If I'm a pawn down, I'm going to try to really complicate things. So he played rook f3, and I just took the other pawn. So now I'm 2 pawns ahead. And I didn't see where the compensation was. Yeah, he took, and I took again. So this is the position here. And just a few moves ago, to look at White's position and then to look at it now, he's 2 pawns behind. And a minute ago, it looked like he was going to wipe me just clean off the board. But as is the case, the French player will allow White to make these pawn advances. But if you know what you're doing, you can really, really exploit them. And this is a good example of that. Just to go through the game, rather quickly, Let's see here. He plays rook f4, just trying for a little trick. You know, if I play some random move, he's going to play the rook over to g4 and get my queen, so I didn't want any of that. So I played e5, a tempo on the rook, and now of course that's not possible due to the bishop's now wide open. He admits, you know, his mistake, goes back to f1. And here I was ready to show him that the French player knows how to play with a large center as well, and I played f5. And you know, I think the position's totally lost. Of course, I'm 2 pawns ahead, and all the pawns are in the center. I mean, this is absolutely, totally madness. Just to go through the game really quickly, so you can just see how it worked out. He played c takes d. I took with the knight to keep the center, you know, as beautiful as possible. Knight c3, attacking d5, and I played bishop c6. He played rook a2, trying to protect the 7th rank laterally, and I took the bishop, the best bishop on the board. He took with the knight, and I played d4 check. King g1, and now queen g4. And here, you know, a lot of times, you know, even in 1950 completely collapsed. You know, here just because he wasn't familiar with what he wasn't understanding that these pawn advances can be very deadly, and he played another blunder, which was queen e1, and I played, of course, queen e4. And you know, the game's over. He tried knight at f4 here, just trying to give up a piece, but after check, only move, mate, the game's absolutely over. So I hope that gave you another example of how to deal with these structures that arise after the advanced variation. I wanted to give you a game, and preferably my own game, so that you could see that I'm practicing what I preach here, and that the advanced variation is definitely not at all a problem for black. And I might do a third video covering another main move, maybe knight a3. So hopefully this gave you a game. It's not a grandmaster game by any standard, but I think more instructive are games by, you know, non-grandmasters, and so you can see, you know, more clearly. I can explain my own games much better than I can explain someone else's. So hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.